You hold on.
Device, Mr. Buckner.
I'm on. Can you? Man. Hello.
Yes, please state your name, Mr. Buckner, and turn on your screen.
It's Lawrence and the family of Buckner.
Can you please turn on your screen?
Oh yes, that was Lawrence, the Buckner family, people. We've got us a soft set. We got a live one in front of Judge Washington. This knucklehead, I think I've seen him a bunch of times in front of Judge Simpson. This is Alyssa's fault, with a big assist from Zach over at Law Nerds Unite. Link in the description. Let's do it.
I'm sorry.
New text message from +15175155992.
I can't even mute that.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can see you, but now you have. All right, we'll see if that noise starts up again, giving us some numbers that I could not. All right, we're here for non-jury trial today. Are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Judge.
All right. Anybody want to give opening statements?
Judge, the people will waive opening statement.
Defense will likewise waive, Your Honor.
All right. You may call your first witness.
Thank you, Judge. The people call Sergeant Jordan Erbes to the stand.
Sergeant Erbes, please unmute your device for me and raise your right hand to be sworn. Sergeant Erbes, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I know you've testified before, so I don't need to give you any direction. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Woods.
Thank you, Judge. Sergeant Erbes, could you please state your name again for the record?
Sergeant Jordan Erbes, E-R-B as in boy, E-S.
And where are you currently employed?
Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office in the Police Service Division.
Okay. And were you employed in that capacity on November 17th of 2024?
I was.
My apologies, November 11th, 2024.
Yes, November, I believe it was November 17th, 2024, yes.
One moment, Judge. That is correct. On that date, were you involved in an investigation involving Lawrence Buckner at 1501 South Huron Street in Ypsilanti Township?
I received a complaint from him, yes.
What do you mean by that?
I was asked to call him in regards to a trespass notice that was served to him earlier that evening.
And did you call Mr. Buckner?
I did.
What phone number were you provided to call?
734-444-4122.
All right.
And
Slow down, please, and give that to me again.
734
Okay.
444-4122.
Thank
And
you.
why were you given the task to call Mr. Buckner?
He was upset for being served a trespass notice to the improper address.
So he was given a trespass notice, but it was to the wrong address?
Yes, so Deputy Jay Clark had served him a trespass notice earlier in the evening. There are two Sunocos. It was supposed to be to the Sunoco at 350 South Ford Boulevard, but Deputy Jay Clark mistakenly issued it to him at 1024 Ecorse Road, which is the second Sunoco gas station in Ypsilanti Township.
So you were calling to just give him the correct information?
He asked to be called in order to make a complaint about being
I remember this knucklehead because he is always getting trespassed at the Sunoco. And then he got trespassed at another Sunoco. It's no wonder they got him mixed up.
served the improper address.
Oh, so Mr. Buckner was complaining, so you were just
Yes.
calling to follow up on that complaint?
He asked to speak to a sergeant, and I was the one that was on duty at the time.
I see. Do you recall what time you called Mr. Buckner?
I believe it was around 1:30 a.m., somewhere in that time frame.
Okay. And are you familiar with Mr. Buckner's voice?
I am.
And when you called Mr. Buckner, was this call recorded?
It was recorded on my body worn camera.
Judge, may I share my screen?
What are you sharing?
The phone call, it's on his body worn camera. I just want to lay foundation.
All right. Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
You may.
Thank you, Judge. Can you all see my screen?
I could, but not anymore.
Can you see it now?
No. You have to try to re-share it again.
All right, Judge. Let me try it one more time.
All right, we can see a screen now.
You can see it now.
Yes.
Deputy, what are we looking at here?
This is my body worn camera. Whenever I make a phone call, I typically show the camera the phone number that I'm calling to verify it, and then the phone call is played over speakerphone, so my body worn camera can collect that information that is the conversations being had back and forth.
And after you made this recording, did you share this recording with the prosecutor's office?
I did.
And is this an accurate depiction of what your body worn camera looks like at that date?
It is.
Judge, I'd ask permission to publish the body worn camera video and admit it.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it shall be published in a minute.
Judge, this would be Exhibit 1. First of all, can you hear it?
No, it cannot.
Sergeant Erbes of the Sheriff's Office. What can I do for you?
I can now.
Are you hearing it?
Yes.
Perfect. I'll continue playing it. Let me just rewind it. I just had issues before, so I just wanted to make sure you could hear it.
Just so you're aware, the body camera is a 30-second buffer period in which when I activate it, 30 seconds prior plays, but there's no audio attached to it. So that may be what's occurring.
That's correct. I just started playing it when the audio picks up.
Sergeant Erbes of the Sheriff's Office. What can I do for you? I had no instances with you. Don't even know who you are. You're brand new. Yeah. So I know that that's a lie. Yeah, Jay Clark did. I have talked to him. Yeah, but he's got no beef with you. He ain't even been here long enough to have beef with you. Well, he has to have a beef, but I talked to him a few times. Okay. So outside of that, you don't know what transpired because you ain't been here for. But this trespass don't exist. It's to the wrong building. Okay. What address did you trespass you to? They trespassed
trespass me at 1024 Ecorse Road.
Okay, well, that is incorrect. It's 350 South Ford, it's the Oklahoma.
Yeah, so they put the wrong thing on there, so this one don't exist. So, you know, they just got to reserve me or whatever.
No, we don't have to reserve you. I just have to verbally serve you. I don't have to serve you a piece of paper. So you're trespassing 350 South Ford Boulevard. If you'd like another piece of paper, then I can maybe I can give you another piece of paper.
I'm just making, you know, y'all aware because, you know, I am going to be still, like, you know, I'm not banned for a piece of place. So, you know, I'm not going to deal with this fake ass Islamic bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, well, you're trespassing that premises there.
You know, the premises is to the gas station. That's the address. The address to the piece of place is a whole different address.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a whole different address.
Okay.
Like, oh, that's the bullshit. I ain't deal with it. Because he approached me at the pizza place, I'm going to beat the fuck out of him.
Well, that's a threat.
Mr. Erbes or Sergeant Erbes, is that an accurate depiction of the phone call that day?
It is.
How do you know that that was Lawrence Buckner you were talking to?
I've had numerous incidences with Mr. Buckner previously, so I'm quite familiar with him and his voice and
Oh, I know, big dummy.
his mannerisms. And that phone call is consistent with previous contacts I've had with him. And him being the person that was served with the trespass, he would be the only one at that point in time that would know that the trespass was served at the improper address.
And do you see Mr. Buckner on the Zoom today?
I do.
And could
Sure
you
did.
please describe him to the court? Or
He's wearing a black t-shirt with a chain. His Zoom video is labeled Mr. Buckner.
Judge, may the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant, Lawrence Buckner?
No objection, Your Honor.
It shall.
So, who was, when Mr. Buckner had stated on his phone call, if he approached me at the pizza place, I'm going to beat the fuck out of him. Do you know who Mr. Buckner was referring to?
He was referring to Deputy Jay Clark. And I say Jay Clark because we have two Clarks that work for us.
Okay. And did you take what Mr. Buckner said to you as a threat on Deputy Clark?
I did.
Okay. And when a threat like that is made to a law enforcement officer, what are you required to do?
There's not any specific requirements, but I made sure to notify Deputy Jay Clark so that he was aware that the threat was made. And then due to the likelihood of it, if it was going to be carried out, it would possibly be that night. I notified the other deputies on shift in case something occurred with Mr. Buckner.
Did you believe that threat that Mr. Buckner made?
Yes, considering it was made to a sergeant and it was pretty brazen and it's well aware of who we know who he is, I did take it as a credible threat.
Okay. And how did this threat on a fellow law enforcement officer make you feel?
It concerned me for the safety of my deputy in the event that he
This officer is clearly a practice witness, and he's excellent.
was reserved that trespass notice, or in the event that they did come in contact with him in the community again that later that evening or that week.
Do you believe that this threat was intended to frighten, intimidate, or annoy or disturb your peace?
I do.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to that question as speculation and or calling for legal conclusion.
Response.
I'm just asking for the officer to elaborate on how that made him feel. I can rephrase my question, Judge.
Well, you're asking him if they violated the actual statutory language. You're asking him to give that, but I don't think it's speculative. You asked in the plain language of the statute. That would be my argument, but whatever. It's just kind of funny. Well, I don't know how she rolls here.
Okay, please rephrase.
Officer, when you received that threat from Mr. Buckner, how did that make you feel?
I was frightened for the safety of my deputy.
Okay. And why were you frightened for the safety of the deputy?
The fact that a comment like that was made directly to a law enforcement officer, that's not in the typical realm of things that happen. So the fact that he was willing to make such a brazen threat, knowing that he was talking to a sergeant, knowing that he was calling to make a complaint, The credibility of that threat to me was pretty substantial. It's not something that I get very often when somebody asks me to call them, that they're going to tell me that they're then going to beat up or
I don't blame her, but Judge Washington has got some serious RBF today.
attack one of my deputies. That's not typical.
No further questions.
Mr. Lebo?
Thank you, Your Honor. Deputy Erbes, one of the things you said on the phone call was that you knew Mr. Buckner was lying to you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what you were indicating, Mr. Buckner, that you believe he was lying to you about was whether he had encountered Deputy Clark. Is that correct?
I believe it was whether Deputy Clark had a problem with him specifically or not.
One of the things you said in that call was that he hadn't been at the sheriff's department long enough to have any contact with Mr. Buckner. Is that correct?
To have significant enough contact for him to have a vendetta against Mr. Buckner, yes.
Fair to say that you were incorrect and that Mr. Buckner had contact with Mr. Clark.
Yes, he had contact. I don't believe I refuted that he had contact.
So fair to say that Mr. Buckner was not in fact lying to you?
I mean, it depends on how you're interpreting what Mr. Buckner said. So the reason that
Certainly.
Okay.
So additionally, you said earlier that you took this threat seriously.
Correct.
Now on the video, we heard you laughing immediately after you stated out loud that it was a threat.
Correct.
Would you generally laugh after you hear a serious threat towards a law enforcement officer?
Well, that was my response at the time because I thought it was so brazen, and I was surprised by it. It kind of caught me off guard. I didn't expect that to come.
Okay, so I guess, and earlier the prosecutor asked you how you felt, and you initially said concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was another question the prosecutor asked you where there was an objection and a rephrase. She re-asked you that question, and then you changed concerned to frightened. Do you remember that?
Correct. Yes.
Why did you make that change?
Well, I can feel frightened at the same time that I can feel concerned for my deputy's welfare.
You certainly can, but I'm asking why you changed your phrasing the first time the question was asked to the second time the question was asked.
I don't have a answer for that.
Did you change that phrasing as a result of how you felt it would influence the outcome of the case?
No.
Okay. Now, after Mr. Buckner made that statement, because he approached me at the pizza place, I beat the F out of him, he hung up right away, didn't he?
Correct.
Did he try calling you back?
No.
Okay. And how did you determine that the he was talking to was Deputy J. Clark? Was it anything other than the context of the call?
I believe he said Deputy J. Clark in the phone call. He said Deputy Clark in the phone call, identifying him.
At the end of the call, I heard was he. Did you hear something different?
I'd have to re-listen to the body cam again, but I believe that he did say Deputy J.
Okay,
Clark.
so why don't we play it again? And Your Honor, may I share my screen to share the body camera?
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, can the court see my screen?
I can't.
Thank you, and the audio will begin momentarily.
Doesn't seem to be working, Mr. Lebo.
My apologies, Your Honor. Was the court not hearing the audio?
No, I can't hear anything.
I was unable to hear anything either.
It should work now, Your Honor, and my apologies.
Trespass me to 10.
Let me just restart the video.
Mhm.
Was the body camera tone just heard?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Mr. Buckner, Sergeant Erbes with the Sheriff's Office. What can I do for you?
Oh, and then I don't understand. Like, I got a trespass, and and it just happened to be by the same officer that I had a few incidents with over in here when I was dealing with my ex-girlfriend, and like he got a hard on for me. He was told he was gonna get me, and he's making a point out of it.
What deputy?
Jay Clark.
Jay Clark has had no incidences with you. You don't even know who you are. He's brand new.
Yeah. Well,
So I know that that's a lie.
Jay Clark. I have talked to him.
Yeah, but he's got no beef with you. He ain't even been here long enough to have a beef with you.
Well, he has to have a beef because I didn't talk to him a few times.
Okay.
So outside of that, you don't know what transpired because you ain't been everywhere. But this trespass don't exist. It's to the wrong building. And,
Okay. What address did he trespass you to?
they trespassed me to 1024 E Course Road.
Okay. Well, that is incorrect. It's 350 South Ford. It's the Oklahoma.
Yeah, so they put the wrong thing on there, so this
Okay.
one don't exist. So, they just got to reserve me or whatever.
No, we don't have to reserve you. I just have to verbally serve you. I don't have to serve you a piece of paper. So you're trespassing from 350 South Ford Boulevard. If you'd like another piece of paper, then you can meet me and I can give you another piece of paper.
I'm just making, y'all aware because, I am going to be still, like, I'm not banned for the pizza place. So, I'm not going to deal with this fake ass Islamic bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, you're trespassing from that premises there.
No, the premises is for the gas station. That's the address. The address to the pizza place is a whole different address.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a whole different address.
Okay.
So, all this little bullshit, I ain't gonna deal with it. Because he approached me at the pizza place, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of him.
Well, that's a threat.
So, Sergeant Erbes, your testimony is essentially that you determined that it was Deputy Clark that Mr. Buckner directed his statement to based on the context of the call?
Yes, he stated that it was Deputy Clark.
Okay. And did anyone advise Deputy Clark that needed to avoid that pizza place that night?
That Deputy Clark needed to avoid the pizza place that night?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. If it had been a serious threat towards Deputy Clark, wouldn't someone have told him to avoid that pizza place?
Why would I tell him to specifically avoid that pizza place?
Because the statement that indicated that you perceived as a threat was, if I see him at the pizza place, I'm going to beat the F out of him. The phrase,
Yes.
at the pizza place.
I notified Deputy J. Clark of the threat that was made about it, but I didn't tell him to specifically stay away from the pizza place.
Okay. Wouldn't it be reasonable if someone's perceived a true threat to tell them, this person says they may harm you if they see you here, so don't go there?
I guess.
What the hell is he talking about? This is an attorney. It's a police officer. He's not a judge. He's not issuing a stay away order. He's also not the owner of the premises, and he hasn't done that. He's just informing people that a threat was made. That's all he can do. It's a weird line of questioning.
Yes, but I figured that telling him overall the threat would be the warning that he needed.
Thank you. And wouldn't you agree that generally if you hear a serious threat against a law enforcement officer, you don't laugh?
Depends on how your response to that kind of threat is.
Okay. Is there any particular reason you concluded that Mr. Buckner made that statement with intent to threaten rather than simply he blurted it out at the end of a frustrating call?
Well, I mean, I don't understand why somebody would make that kind of statement to a law enforcement officer if they didn't mean it.
So essentially it was basically simply based on the fact that it was said,
Good point.
you concluded that it was a true threat.
Yep.
This laugh argument too, which absolutely sucks. I would make it if I was in his shoes because he has nothing. But because you laugh at a threat doesn't mean that someone didn't make a threat. You don't have to cower in fear and be a big wussy about it in order for it to be a valid threat.
Okay. Let me just review my notes for a moment. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just briefly, Judge. So let's talk about, he said in the call that he has a beef with Deputy Clark. Are you aware of what beef he was talking about?
I believe he was claiming that Deputy Clark had a beef with him.
Okay. And are you aware of Deputy Clark having a beef with the defendant?
No, I'm not.
Okay. And let's get back to avoiding a certain place. So as an officer, would you advise another officer not to go somewhere because they might have a threat against them?
Not specifically. I mean, in this circumstance, I felt that warning him of the threat overall would have been more than enough to make sure that he avoided Mr. Buckner.
So you warned the deputy about Mr. Buckner and his behavior. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. But so you did warn him.
I warned him about the threat, yes.
Okay. And let's talk about that laugh. So, how would you describe that laugh, that little laugh that you did at the end? What kind of laugh would you say that was?
It was more out of shock than anything else that he had just said that and then hung up.
And he hung up the phone on you, correct, after he made that threat?
Correct.
Okay. Was that a laugh could that be described as a happy laugh?
I would say it was more of like a holy crap, like he just said
Okay.
that.
Okay. So more like a nervous laugh. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that would be a way to categorize it, yes.
Okay. And did you end up reporting this after this happened?
Reporting it in terms of,
For charging.
yes,
And why did you do that?
because I believe the threat may be credible.
I have no further questions, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Lebo?
Very briefly, Your Honor. Sergeant Erbes, were you laughing because you were looking forward to submitting charges against Mr. Buckner?
No.
Okay.
Shocked
Fair-
reaction.
Fair to say that throughout the conversation with Mr. Buckner, far before you made that statement, you were generally fairly impatient with him.
Yes.
Fair to say you're not a fan of Mr. Buckner.
I wouldn't describe it as that. I've had a lot of dealings with him.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Thank you. May this witness be excused.
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant Erbes. You may be excused. Any further witnesses in the prosecution?
No, Judge, and the people rest our case.
Thank you. Any witnesses from the defense?
No, your defense rests except for closing argument.
All right. Did you want to talk to your client before you say that, or you've already talked? Do you need to make a record of anything?
I will make a record, Your Honor.
All right. You're gonna make a record or later?
I can do that now, Your Honor.
That is what's awkward. Like, you know, in court, you would say, "Yeah, give me a minute," and you would whisper to your client, and then you'd be done. But you kind of can't do that here without a breakout room. It's just really awkward.
Mr. Buckner, do you understand that you have a right to testify in this case, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and are you choosing not to exercise that right today?
I mean, I can testify.
I know. I'm asking you if you have decided to testify.
I mean, sure.
Your Honor, can I have a break room with Mr. Buckner?
Certainly.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I haven't seen this part. That was not the answer. That was not the answer his attorney was hoping for.
But we'll be in a brief recess.
All right. I don't know if I should push forward here because I can't look at it to see what's going on. I can't risk it. All right, they're back already.
All right, the 14B District Court is back in session. We're still in the same case of Mr. Lawrence Buckner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a chance to speak to Mr. Buckner. Additionally, I would like to just vote here and to place the testimony on the record. Mr. Buckner, have you decided to waive your right to testify in this case?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, Mr. Buckner, you fully understand you have a right to testify, at which time anything you
Oh, he managed to talk some sense into him in the breakout room. Good for him.
say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You're choosing to waive that right and not testify today. Is that you're choosing to not testify today, and you're not going to exercise your right to testify? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. All right. I guess we can proceed with closing statements with the people, please.
Thank you, Judge. So, Judge, we heard testimony from Sergeant Erbes. We know this happened in Ypsilanti Township.
Well, yeah, he started out with the family Buckner nonsense, but he's represented. So, and his attorney wisely talked him out of testifying. So we don't get to see him go full self-sit here.
And we know that the defendant made these threats through a phone. The telephone number was also put on the record. We actually saw the phone call that was used to communicate between Sergeant Erbes and the defendant, Mr. Buckner. Second, that when communicating with Sergeant Erbes, the defendant threatened physical harm to another person or to any person. It doesn't even really matter who that person is. Sergeant Erbes believed that that person that he was threatening happened to be Deputy Clark because he spoke about Deputy Clark. He actually said that he had a beef with Deputy Clark. He told Sergeant Erbes that that he has a beef with him. He wasn't happy with him, that there was issues going on with Deputy Clark that Sergeant Erbes wasn't aware of. And then he said that if he approaches him at the pizza place, that he's going to beat the fuck out of him. Judge, these are threats that were made by the defendant directly to a sergeant of a law enforcement agency. Judge, what these people do day in and day out is dangerous. Threats should not be taken lightly, and they were not taken lightly by Sergeant Erbes. When Sergeant Erbes has had dealings with this defendant before, he knows him. He believed that that was a threat. He reached out, let Deputy Clark know about those threats. He recorded that phone call.
Thank you, John.
And then he did what he was supposed to do, and he went forward and had this case looked at for charging, Judge. That shows me right there that this sergeant believed that the defendant made those threats with the intent to frighten, intimidate, threaten, disturb the peace and quiet of the sergeant, which is exactly what he did. If these threats meant nothing to Sergeant Erbes, he would have just laughed it off and did nothing, Judge. That's not what happened here. When he heard those threats,
get the fuck off the
he
shit.
actively did.
Mr. Buckner,
My dogs is back here chewing on my stuff.
I'm sorry, Ms. Woods, you may continue.
It's fine, Judge. What I was just
Was that just a hot mic where he didn't remember where he was, and now he's blaming the dogs over their actual dogs? That's what I got to know.
basically getting to, Judge, is these guys, police officers, you know, they do a dangerous job. When Sergeant Erbes heard this threat, he believed it was a real threat, and he took action on that threat, Judge, which is what he should have done, especially when you have a man who's claiming that if another officer shows up to a pizza place where he's going to be, that he's going to beat the fuck out of him. That's not how, you know, everything that we just heard today, Judge, meets every element for this case. And I do believe that based on the actions of Sergeant Erbes, he showed this court that he did take these threats seriously. And he did proceed forward with alerting the other officer, Deputy Clark, of these threats, and sent this case forward for charging, which is what he should have done, because what Mr. Buckner did by making these threats to a sergeant of a law enforcement agency is against the law, and he should not be allowed to get away with that kind of behavior, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I just want to take a moment to give a little sarcastic clap to Mr. Buckner for that beautiful performance of interrupting the prosecutor, saying you're basically an unhinged lunatic, by acting like an unhinged lunatic in the middle of our argument. That's top notch.
Mr. Lebo?
Firstly, let me apologize for the sounds I heard from Mr. Buckner while Ms. was delivering her closing argument. So, in order for Mr. Buckner to be convicted of the offense of malicious use of telecommunications device, the prosecutor...
Okay. First of all, I think this attorney's done a nice job, except I disagree with that. I would not bring attention back to it. You can't apologize for your client. He made an ass of himself. There's no way to fix it, number one. Number two, that lisp is rough. That is rough. You might want to consider seriously speech therapy for that purpose. It gets in the way of your message.
Must prove, among elements that are not at issue in this case, that Mr. Buckner knew his actions are wrong, but he acted intentionally with the specific intent to terrorize, frighten, intimidate, harass, and or disturb the peace and quiet of Deputy Erbes. It is, under the law, it is not relevant whether Deputy Erbes genuinely believed that the threat was sincere or not. It's relevant. The only relevance is whether Mr. Buckner had the specific intent to make that statement while he was also making a true threat. This is from the model jury instructions of this offense at 35.1, additionally citing cases of People v. Bycheck, 333 Mish App 173, and InRay JP 330 Mish App 1. This is not a case about harassing repeated phone calls. We heard that Mr. Buckner did not try to call Deputy Erbes back after he made his ill-advised, blurted-out comment. And we know that Mr. Buckner didn't make a true threat because Ellis v. United States, which is cited by Bycheck, holds that a true threat must be made with specific intent and intent to intimidate or coerce. The context here shows it wasn't a true threat. The statement wasn't made to the person he was supposedly threatening. It was made to and about a person who Mr. Buckner would not expect to feel threatened by such a vague and mild statement. A sheriff's deputy was the authority to, if necessary, use force against Mr. Buckner and take him into custody. Under these circumstances, it's not plausible that Mr. Buckner actually expected or intended Deputy Erbes or Deputy Clark to feel threatened. Similarly, if Mr. Buckner had specifically intended for Deputy Erbes to feel frightened, intimidated, harassed, or disturbed, he would have behaved differently. He would have threatened Deputy Erbes directly, not a third party, or he would have made the threat directly to the person who he intended to threaten. If he intended to harass and annoy or disturb Deputy Erbes, he would have made further phone calls or insulted or threatened Deputy Erbes himself. He would not have simply made an ill-advised comment and hung up the line. This is a close case, but I don't believe the process has shown Mr. Buckner's specific intent beyond reasonable doubt. I think this is a case where it's just as probable that Mr. Buckner simply blurted out a comment that he should not have made out of frustration without any intent to make a true threat and without any specific intent whatsoever, and that is why I'm asking for a verdict of not guilty today.
So if he was talking to Sergeant Erbes on the phone and he threatened to come to the police station and blow up the place, you would still be making the same argument?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
What's the difference?
The difference is it's a degree of specificity, the degree of I'm going to this place where I know that you are, and I'm going to commit an act of terrorism. That's very different from an offhand blurred out comment at the end of a phone call saying, oh yeah, well, if I see him again, I'm going to beat him up.
He didn't say he sees him again. What he said was, if he approaches him at the pizza place, he's going to beat his ass.
Yes, Your Honor, and
I don't know how much more specific you could get.
I suppose it would be more specific if he said, I'm going to be here at this time, and if I see him there, I'm going to beat him up. Or I'm going to go find him at the police station and beat him up. I think, though, the bigger issue than the exact phrasing is the intent and the manner in which the statement was made. It was made at the end of the call, blurted out quickly, and immediately followed by hanging up without calling back. That shows frustration and a blurted out comment that was ill-advised. It does not show beyond a reasonable doubt specific intent. I certainly understand that you could look at this and say there is a very good reason to believe he might have been doing that. I just don't believe it reaches the level of beyond a reasonable doubt. I think it's perfectly.
So let me ask you this. I agree that he was probably frustrated. I don't like, and I'll say it directly.
Agreed. This argument is absolutely awful, but it roughly speaking is the best thing he has, and he's really swinging. He's doing a good job with what he has, which is nothing.
To Sergeant Erbes, I don't like the way the Sergeant Erbes treated him when he called to make a complaint. He was basically disrespected and called a liar without any real basis for that. So I don't like that. And I could see why he would be frustrated. But the fact of the matter is he still threatened an officer, is how I see it, whether it was out of frustration or not. So how does the frustration change the specific intent is what I'm asking you.
Your Honor, so under the law, a true threat must be made with specific intent and intent to intimidate or coerce. When someone blurts something out of frustration without thinking about it, they don't have a specific intent. They just have the frustration. It said something because they were angry. They didn't have the specific intent to make another person feel a certain way. They're just expressing how they feel in the moment in an ill-advised manner.
Are you arguing that when someone's angry, therefore they don't have any intent behind what they do?
No, Your Honor. I'm arguing that there needs to be some evidence of consideration of, I'm going to make this threat because I want to make this person do a certain thing, and I want them to take this threat seriously. And I don't believe that's shown in this case.
Ms. Woods?
Can I just make a short comment?
That's why I'm coming back to you, Ms. Woods.
So Mr. Buckner requested the phone call. When he got Sergeant Erbes on the line, he immediately was upset. He said that he believed that Officer Clark was bugging him about stuff he didn't know about, and that he had Deputy Clark, and he has a beef with Deputy Clark. And then he threatened to.
He never said he had a beef with Deputy Clark. What?
Yeah, in the call he does.
Let me finish. Deputy Clark had a beef with him. Those are two different things.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct, Judge. But he believes there's some sort of beef going on between them.
No,
and
believes that he's being harassed by Deputy Clark.
Right. So I believe that this wasn't an ill-advised comment, Judge. This is a man who is upset. He believes that the police are bugging him, that this Deputy Clark has a beef with him, and he made the threat. he knew he was threatening him when he said those words. There's no doubt that this was not some ill-advised comment out of the blue, out of frustration and anger. I do believe that when he made that threat, he did intend to make that threat. And then he hung up the phone after he made that threat because he knew because he knew what he said was wrong. And I believe that I have proved each of those elements beyond a reasonable doubt, Judge, and that this was in fact a threat. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Can I see counsel in the breakout room? All right, we're back on the record in the case of the state of Michigan versus Lawrence Buckner, 25S00102. I called and everybody is here on the case for the record. I called the prosecution and defense over on the other side, and I'll be very clear with both of the other two people who were present that I did that so that I could look into the actual case law that had been cited by Mr. Lebo to determine whether or not there was anything I was missing in terms of the facts as applied to the law in this particular case. The law and the court rule, as well as the jury instruction, is very clear that for there to be a malicious use of telecommunication service, the person using the service must with intent choose to terrorize, frighten, intimidate, threaten, harass, molest, annoy, or disturb the peace and quiet of a person, in this case Deputy Erbes, by threatening physical harm or damage to any person or property. It doesn't have to be to him. It doesn't have to be to a specific person that's actually receiving the call. The situation in this case, and I've listened to it very closely to try to determine whether or not I have any doubts as to whether or not Mr. Buckner intended to, and I don't think he intended to frighten. I think he intended to intimidate, which is one of the elements. He wanted to intimidate because in this particular case, he was being mistreated. And I believe he was being mistreated, but it doesn't give him the right to do what he did. That's the problem with Mr. Buckner, and I keep trying to talk to him. And I don't know whether the conversation I had with him after his last case has helped or not, because this happened before the last case. That it's his mouth that's the problem, and he needs to learn to control that. He intended to intimidate Mr. Clark not to approach him at the pizza place because he felt like, and maybe he's correct, he had a right to be at the pizza place. And I'm not saying he didn't have a right to be at the pizza place. I don't know. That's not before me. But to threaten to beat someone's ass, according to this law, is a violation of that law. He is guilty of malicious use of a telecommunications device. I find that he's guilty, and I'm hopeful that Mr. Buckner can learn to just stop. Just stop. I am also hopeful that Deputy Erbes can give Mr. Buckner, I understand, he's a challenging individual, but he's deserving of respect just like everybody else. Our jobs require that even though people are disrespectful or they're difficult, we have to treat them with respect. So I don't know where this goes from now with respect to Mr. Buckner and his relationship with the police department, or the police department and their relationship with him.
I think they're breaking up, Judge.
But I am seriously asking
Sorry.
that because people have the power over other people doesn't mean that they should mistreat them. They just shouldn't. But as far as whether or not he's guilty of this charge, he is guilty of that. Miss Deputy Erbes is here. He's the victim. I intend to proceed with immediate sentencing. Anything you want to say on behalf of your client?
Yes, Your Honor, I would still respect the court's verdict. I would ask the court to take into account the mistreatment of Mr. Buckner that the court found occurred, as well as Mr. Buckner's potential efforts to improve himself and the fact that he does have other ongoing matters that he will need to deal with. We would be requesting a fines and cost sentence.
What else is he dealing with?
Your Honor, he does have a pending felony matter.
No,
Was that dismissed there?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Buckner, your device is acting up.
All of the false charges was dismissed. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Ms. Woods, anything from you?
Judge, of course, I would ask if Sergeant Erbes would like to speak, but I would be asking for a probation term, Judge. I agree with you. I think that maybe an impulse control program or something like that would be helpful to Mr. Buckner. It could be something that could really help him in the future, Judge. So I would be asking for a probation term, and then Sergeant Erbes, if you would like to speak on behalf of sentencing.
Nope. I would just like to apologize to Mr. Buckner and to the court as well for the way that I handled this situation initially, from the onset of the complaint. It's not a great representation of myself, and for that I apologize.
I think that Mr. Buckner is not here.
Oh, well, I send my apologies to him for the way that I handled that initially, and I, in the future, will work to do better. It's not a great representation of myself, and for that, I apologize.
Thank you. I really appreciate that a lot.
For the record, I think you were just fine. I've got zero problem with it.
Could we get him some sort of an impulse program?
Mr. Buckner, did you hear the apology, sir?
No, my phone was overheating and it's messed up. I didn't hear nothing for the last minute and a half. I tried to sign in on my other phone, but I ain't hear nothing. I'm on my Zoom.
So the prosecutor is asking for a referral to probation, and for probation, and Sergeant Erbes apologized.
My question is, do we check his record? Are we taking his word for the fact that his felony was dismissed? I'm not saying it wasn't. I don't know, but I'm not taking his word for it. I hope the prosecutor checked.
For the way that he handled the situation. Sergeant Erbes.
Yes, Mr. Buckner, I just wanted to apologize for the way that I handled the situation when you called me.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I get the whole kindergarten routine here, but you're sending the wrong message. This guy's an antisocial a-hole. And he now gets convicted and feels justified at the same time. It's a fail. It really is.
All right, I guess I appreciate it, but apology, that's what's up, but we at the end of the day as men, we both know the truth. And like I said, I stand on the pillars of righteousness, regardless of the bumps in the roads that I had.
Oh, you deserve it. That's what's up. I stand on the pillars of righteousness. You all deserve to hear this crap because you indulged it. Sorry.
So, good looking out on that. I'm just tired of you and your colleagues harassing me, and the stuff that I went through recently in regards to all this situation is malicious persecution, and that's exactly what it is.
Mr. Buckner?
And I hope somebody.
Hey, a-hole. You made a threat to a cop about another cop, and it was recorded. You don't have the moral high ground here. Period. End of statement. My God.
The judge is asking you to stop.
So first of all, Mr. Buckner, the one thing I am hopeful for, and I don't think it's working, is that this is not done to enable you to be more difficult and to be more challenging. But I think maybe you're taking that as a way for you to be more difficult.
He sure as hell is. He sure as hell is, Judge. I'm glad you recognize it. I am glad. Just yeah. It's time to back up those prior comments because you see the damage they've done, and go get yourself a vacation. You deserve it, Judge.
There's a certain level of respect that everybody has to give everybody. That includes you to them. And you're
What did I say wrong, Judge Washington? What did I say wrong?
It's the way you say
And my response, what I didn't talk condescending to nobody. How was I disrespectful in what I just said when he said he apologized? He apologized for the way he mistreated me or whatever, but he's not apologizing for the time I spent in jail.
He's got a point. You sucked up to him when you shouldn't have, and now he's taking that as, if we're operating on that premise, then why can't I talk like this? And you created it yourself, Judge. I'm sorry. It's not the end of the world. It's a minor mistake, but that's what's going on here. You made your bed. Now lie in it.
I apologizing for taking the money that can't be put in my business. He's not apologizing for the dogs that died. You're not apologizing for a good human being. You know, if you want to practice and paint the role of being a good human being, you don't throw somebody in the firing pit and then when they all burnt up and crispy, say I'm sorry. No, it's my belief. And notice I said it's my belief, so I keep my comments objective. This was done out of retaliation and spite. The laugh itself gave way to
that. Retaliation and spite for the win. Oh, you guys deserve this whole stupid, mispronounced lecture. You deserve it. You deserve it for all your dopey, over-the-top moral relativism. Eat it.
If you want to find me guilty, it was, you know, my belief. There was the Most High that allowed me to be found guilty.
I'm referring
You
to
yourself have been a witness of many harassments to me as well as my family, because I don't want to participate in their active snitch program or volunteer information. I've been living my life the best of my ability for the last 5 years. None of my past history of my jacket, my modus operandi, do I participate in no more. Can't nobody say that. I don't carry guns. I don't do none of the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So whatever decision you make,
Hey, Jackwagon, you just got convicted not 5 minutes ago of yet another offense. Tone it down.
Going to take it as it is from the universe and roll with it. But accepting it, no, I will maintain on this plane of existence.
I'm going to refer this to the probation department. I'm going to set sentencing in this matter on June 17th.
I feel like Emmett Till. That's what I feel.
Okay.
Emmett Till. That's what I feel like. Emmett Till. He rolled in his grave right now.
I'll see you at 10 a.m. on June 17th, Mr. Buckner.
My ancestors, anytime a European can say something, European can do whatever they want. But you know, one thing about this black man, y'all never break me. You know what I'm saying? I'm a chosen one of the Most High. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's going to have, he has a karmic debt.
Yes. Let's polish it off with some blatant racism in open court. Again, you all asked for it.
So when they get to paying that karma that they told on me throughout these last few months, you know, I hope the same pieces, I hope they go through the same struggles as this black man did here. That's exactly what I hope they go through. I hope they go through the lies. I hope
Mr. Buckner, I really think you should stop
I hope
talking,
they go
sir.
through all that. No, the truth needs to be spoken. You know, it's always telling Mr. Buckner to be quiet. Mr. Buckner was respectful during the phone call. During the whole phone call, I tried to be respectful. I called the superior officer. I wouldn't have called the superior officer.
Wait, right now, I want to ask the judge a question. Now, in light of what we've just been through, do you think the officer was disrespectful after he's dealt with him multiple times? Do you really?
If I didn't have ongoing stuff, I didn't try to intimidate that man. That was just said out of anger. It was nothing to intimidate nobody else about. But the Most High knows my truth. The Most High knows.
He was angry. The Most High knows his truth. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
My truth. That's why none of them other lies they was able to prevail. You know what I'm saying? So your apology is not accepted. You can take it back to where you came from. You are an Edomite, and you are a part of a system to take down black men who trying to get their life together. So no, I don't accept your apology. I don't accept nothing from y'all. I'm a black man getting my life together, and y'all just mad that I don't sell drugs. You mad that I don't carry guns. You mad that I don't poison my community no more. I'm sorry. I don't. I gave that up. I don't have a mom and dad no more. Thank you. So yeah, I see you whenever at 10 a.m. I appreciate you.
If you're driving, stop and pull over.
I'm not driving. I'm not driving. You see, I'm not driving. I was in the parking lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? The black man can never win in this system at all. I've already been in jail over the last month because I was a black in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Doing contempt of court. Please stop and get off my call.
Oh, I know you told me to get off. Hold on. All right. So when I go back to court?
On the 17th at 10 a.m., sir.
All right. Stay black.
And you need to call probation tomorrow.
What's the number?
I will text it to you in the chat.
All right.
Oh, good Lord. Ultimately, the right thing happened. He got convicted. He was guilty of sin. But, you know, I hope they all learned their lesson. This bending over, this constant enabling of crap behavior. And that's what you get. You start in with you're a victim and you're not responsible for your own behavior. And that crap never ends. That's what you get. It's all over the place. I mean, it was funny. It was funny. It was funny, the instant karma. I had not seen the rest of this hearing, so I didn't know what would happen. But I saw it coming. I'm like, why are we soft soaping this guy who just threatened a cop? Why are we doing that? And it bites him in the behind within 5 minutes of the same damn hearing. It was fun, though. It was really fun. There's some clippable stuff in there. There really is. I might have to go back and check it out. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate it. Thank you. I just did another stream, which was also really fun, but that one was long. This one was more short and sweet. I won't call it sweet, but it was shorter. All right, everybody.